suddenly, we have reached a historical fulcrum where all the predicted catastrophic conflicts that have accumulated over decades are breaking out simultaneously. Many of the latent ethnic, tribal, religious and imperial flashpoints were revived. Why is everything happening almost at the same time? Is there a tie that ties it together? In this column and years ago the Wall Street Journal, along with many others, warned that Russia's invasion of Georgia in 2008 would have the same outcome Ukraine. Many people also expected the Israel-Gaza explosion, but few expected the flood of horror that followed. Nagorno-Karabakh has also been smoldering for decades. Let's also not forget that Balkans are almost ready to explode with the recent attack by Serbian militants on Kosovo border. Meanwhile, many predicted that Western countries would come into conflict with the same long-standing interethnic hatreds as source countries. Due to immigration policies currently in place, or lack thereof, it is worth noting that these bloody disputes do not bother East Asia these days. And it fits the picture. More on this later. These were frozen conflicts, so to speak. They remained frozen for so long and were only fully reignited by Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. In fact, both the US and the EU stopped thinking geostrategic years ago. Washington withdrew from the global Cold War following the Soviet collapse, but remains stuck in a war on terror stalemate. But Moscow never stopped. On the contrary, it grew in power, wealth, and bellicosity while the West was distracted. This includes the arena of cyber and propaganda warfare, where the West is vulnerable to internal division on any important issue, often amplified by Moscow's cyber warriors. Russia's information space shows no signs of such exposure. In previous column, we discussed how the Kremlin has maintained for decades, even centuries, a habit of placing separatist minefields within and beyond its empire as threat to local independence efforts or rival powers trying to keep the peace in another place. So how do recent events fit into this picture? A truly independent leadership in Armenia finally came to power democratically in 2018 under current Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan. The Kremlin considered this an unacceptable provocation. Pashinyan was almost the product of the recent color or democratic revolution, a special bête noire of Putin. That is why Georgian Saakashvili, great author of the color revolutions, has now been poisoned and imprisoned in his own country. Under Moscow-friendly regime in Tbilisi, it was color revolution movement of the 2000s that led to overthrow of post-Soviet-style corrupt leaders in many countries. Therefore, Pashinyan had to be punished. Pashinyan's weak point was the political power of the Karabakh region and its militants in Armenian politics. Indeed, he came to power by challenging their rule over Yerevan. The citizens of Armenia were tired of their corrupt